Hello, my name is Tracy Allen and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Some Friends. We're getting ready for the 4th of July, and we had done some other recipes. We've done the s'mores, charcuterie boards, the fruit salad, the triple berry pie and the strawberry pie, and we did the crockpot hot dog chili, and what did we do with that? My potato salad. And we're going to do a couple more before the 4th gets here and post them. So what we're going to do today are two cherry pies, two variations of cherry pie. The first one we're going to show you is a macaroon cherry pie, and the second one is a Michigan cherry pie. And so in the macaroon cherry pie, you need to make a single pie shell, and you're going to bake that for about 6 minutes just till it's set. Now, I'm not going to show you that because on the other pie video we did, I showed you the flaky pie crust recipe and how to do that. The same process. We will go ahead and post the recipe for the flaky pie crust, but I'm not going to actually show you the process. So you can see in the background the foil around the pie shell that I've already made, and I baked that for 6 minutes. You just want it to set so that the juices from the filling don't soak in quite so much. Then you're going to also have to have 3 cans of red tart cherries, like the ones I'm showing you, and you're going to drain those, but you're going to reserve 1 cup of the juice. So don't just drain them out, but here are the cherries drained, and I've already reserved that juice. And you're also going to, for the filling, need some cornstarch. I need a 1/3 cup of cornstarch. I need a cup of sugar. I have some cinnamon, about a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon, and then a couple drops of red food coloring. And then there's a topping, and this is what makes it the macaroon part of it. The topping has an egg that you also mix with some milk, a tablespoon of melted butter, a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. Most cherry pies you're going to find have some almond extract in them. Not all, but most. Some sugar, some salt, some shredded coconut, and then some sliced almonds. All of those go in there. So we're going to start with the filling now that our pie crust has baked for the 6 minutes at 400 degrees. We've drained the cherries, we reserved that juice, all of that, that's all set aside. So in my saucepan, I'm gonna combine my sugar and my cornstarch and mix those together just so they're combined. Get all that cornstarch, make sure I have all the thickener I need, and then slop it all over the place. That's why I had a paper towel here. I just want to mix those up a little bit before I start adding liquid to it. It'll just make it easier to not clump up. Okay, and then to that mixture, I'm going to add that 1 cup of cherry juice that I reserved. That's that measuring cup that I swore up and down I was going to throw it away because the handle's cracked, but I can't seem to let go of it. Not that I don't have enough other liquid measuring cups, but I kind of like that little one. So we're going to stir those over a medium to medium-high heat. Just don't want to get it too hot and burn those sugars until it comes to a boil. And then we're going to cook it a little bit longer until it starts to thicken. It'll take a couple of minutes after that boil to start to thicken up. All right, so my cherry pie filling, that was a combination of the sugar and the cornstarch and that cherry juice. As you can see how thick it's gotten by cooking it over that medium to medium-low heat. I had to turn it down just a little bit, but to that I'm gonna add my cinnamon And you can see it's not a really bright red, and so that's why we add a little bit of red food coloring just to give it a more festive red. 4th of July, that was a lot. 4th of July coloring to our filling. So I'm gonna mix those in off the heat. And then I'm going to go ahead and stir in or fold in my cherries that I have drained over here to the side. Set this down a little bit farther. I'm afraid it's going to fall off that trivet. Fold those in. So they're all covered with some of the filling. No clumps of just filling. Now, my husband would prefer apple pie over cherry, but apple pie is not quite as festive looking for the 4th of July. It's still a good choice, but it's not one of them I chose to do because I only have so much time. So there's my cherry filling, and now I'm going to put that in that, it's cool enough to lift, that pie crust that I baked for the 6 minutes, and I put it on a cookie sheet so that if it boils over with the filling, so we just want this foil loosely around it so the edges of the crust don't burn, because my oven's at 400. So I'm going to go ahead and dump my filling in my pie shell. Remember, we just baked it the 6 minutes just so the filling, the juices would hold a little bit better and not seep through quite as much. Now I'm going to put this in that 400-degree oven for, 15 to 20 minutes or so. And then when I take it out, I'm going to go ahead and put the topping on it. And I'll show you how to mix that topping up here in just a second. So there's what it looks like before the topping. I'll make sure you get a good shot of that. So the macaroon cherry pie is got the filling in it in the shell. It's in the oven with foil around it on the cookie sheet. And while that's baking for that 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the topping that goes on top of it. So, and you can see in the background, my bowl is covered. That's for the second cherry pie I'm going to show you today for the Michigan cherry pie. So in this bowl, I have an egg that's at room temperature. I'm going to put it in first because I want to beat that up just a little bit so the yolk and the white mix equally. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of milk, and for cooking purposes, I normally use whole milk. When we drink it, we normally just use 2%, but I have a tablespoon of melted butter. And I have some more almond extract. It's about 1/4 of a teaspoon, so just a little bit to give it some flavor. I have about 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And lastly, with these main ingredients, I have just a pinch of salt or 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to mix those together. And then the last 2 ingredients that I add to this topping, I have a cup of shredded coconut. Again, this is the macaroon part. And I have 1 cup of sliced almonds. Coconut, almonds. So I'm going to wait to put this topping on the macaroon cherry pie after it bakes at 400 for those 20 minutes. And then once I sprinkle this over the top, I'm going to reduce that 400-degree oven to 350 degrees and bake it another 15 to 20 minutes, and this topping will start to brown. When I take that out of the oven, I want to let it cool to room temperature for about an hour. And then if I'm going to not eat it right away, which probably I will store it in the refrigerator for 4 hours or to overnight, whichever, before company comes for the 4th of July. So this is one of those you need to plan a little bit ahead. You could make it the night before though, and then have it ready for your 4th of July celebration. Hello and welcome to another edition of 4th of July things or foods for cooking with some friends. And I had already prepared the macaroon cherry pie, and it's in the oven now for the first round of baking, and then I'll put the topping on and bake some more. So now I'm going to show you my second one, a cherry pie that we have, and it's a Michigan cherry pie, and it calls for 2 different kinds of cherries, and sometimes I mix even 3 because it takes some 5 cups of frozen tart cherries, and then it takes some 1 1/4 cups of dried cherries as well. Now, sometimes I like to mix in some of the sweet cherries as well, just to give it a little more sweetness to the recipe. So that's what I've done here to make my 5 cups. But you can do all frozen tart cherries that you thaw out and drain. So in my bowl, I'm gonna mix the dried cherries and my cherry combination, which again, you can just use tart cherries that are frozen. And to that, I'm going to add some lemon juice, about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm going to add some lemon zest. That's about a 1/2 teaspoon or so of lemon zest. And then I'm going to put in some almond extract, about a 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. And I'm going to mix all those together. And I slopped cherry juice on the counter. I'm going to mix all those together before I move on to the next step, just to get those combined. And that'll have those cherries, the dried ones, to start absorbing some of those juices. I don't know if you guys do big fireworks on the 4th of July. We'll, like I said in another video, we'll probably do several different sites, both at home and at other people's houses. And so I'm really looking forward to it. It's always fun to watch the grandkids. So I've got those mixed together. Now, I'm gonna add what's gonna become the thickener. I'm going to stir in, first I'm gonna mix together my sugar and my cornstarch that's in the recipe. Put those measured out in my ramekin. I'm gonna mix those. And then this goes in with the cherries. Now, I said when I made the other cherry pie, if you watch that video, that I'm not gonna show you how to actually make the crust, because I did that in a video for the strawberry pie and the triple berry pie. So it's the same process. The only difference is with the Michigan cherry pie, the crust or the bottom shell, when you make it, it's gonna go in the refrigerator for about a 1/2 hour to set up again, so those juices don't absorb quite so much into the shell. So there are different methods that you can use. So I'm gonna sprinkle this over and then stir that into my cherry mixture. Until it's well blended. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside for just a minute while I mix my topping up, and I'm gonna go ahead and mix it in the same bowl that I had my thickener in. Wipe it out a little bit. So in this bowl, I'm going to mix the 3/4 cup of old-fashioned oats, and don't get minute oats. Make sure you have old-fashioned oats. I'm not sure my bowl's going to be big enough. I may want to transfer to a bigger one. was thinking. Anyway, old-fashioned oats. And then I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of flour. And I'm going to put in about a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I got that really stuck in my cup. Okay. And then I have my melted butter and I have my salt. And the salt, it's only about 1/4 teaspoon, not very much. I want to mix those before I add my butter in, just so it's a little more even. I really appreciate those that commented on what they wanted to see for the 4th of July. I know Miss Kay is always one of our top people, and I really appreciate the fact that she watches all the videos, and there are so many others, but my kids, she was their music instructor in school, and they just loved her. So I just want to thank her for staying up with my children and following us on both Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so then I have my melted butter, about 1/3 cup. I'm going to mix that in. So I put my pie shell in. Like I said, I have another pie shell that's actually over there. I covered it so it wouldn't dry out until I'm ready for it. But the one that I'm going to use for this particular pie is in the refrigerator cooling. Other door. So I'm going to first put my cherries in that I've mixed up. And I've preheated my oven to 375. And then I'm going to sprinkle my topping. I'll even that out a little bit. I'm going to sprinkle my topping over this. Love the topping, kind of like when you do apple crisp, and the topping is just so flavorful. So I'm going to put that in my preheated oven and let it bake, and it'll take it about 45 to 55 minutes, just depending. I want it to be nice and bubbly and the topping to get kind of golden. There's my oven now. And then I'll let it cool and it'll be ready to eat. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.